Hi, this is Dee Dee Pfeiffer, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There podcast with these awesome guys.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. Really appreciate all y'all. Y'all mean the world to, me and all of us here at the show. It's still kind of hard to process. We've been doing this show for 3 years. Before we jump into tonight's film review, I just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on our website. Brian, I can't compliment him enough. He's done a great job on the website. All our episodes and interviews are on there if you want to check those out, from episode 1 at Nightmare on Elm Street to our weekly release. Check out our website if you want to listen there. And we also have all of our interviews. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. It's a lot easier to find them there than it is scrolling through over almost 300 episodes now to find these interviews. So check out the interviews tab. We have our store. We have some new T-shirts, tumblers from Shan's Etsy page. We have hoodies now if you live in a cold part of the world, not like Florida where it was 80 degrees in freaking February today. But anywho, if you want a hoodie, check that out. What?
It was 39 degrees in East Tennessee today, Nico. You take that 80 degrees and you cherish it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm just saying, if you're in the cold part of the world, get you a hoodie. Dustin, go buy a hoodie, damn it. All right. Let me shout out our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. We love interacting with our fans. We love meeting you, chit-chatting with you, answering your comments and questions on the air. All our social medias are doing well. We're growing, and it's exciting to see. And I'm going to shout out our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. All that money just goes directly back into the podcast. None of us pocket any of it. It just helps pay the bills, like we like to call it. And we also have one-time donations. You're a big fan of a movie, you want us to review it, that option is available as well. So check out our website. Tonight, we're kicking February off with Women in Horror Month. I'm super excited for this whole month. It's one of the best months I think we've done from all 4 picks to me. And we're kicking off with Brother Brian's pick. You want to announce your pick, brother?
Yeah, man. I wanted to honor the great Kate Beckinsale and went with 2003's Underworld. I picked this because I love the entire franchise. I mean, damn, look, it's vampires versus werewolves, man. What the hell is there not to like? But, I've admitted before, way back when I picked 30 Days a Night, like with my second pick ever, I think, that I'm a sucker for the romanticism of vamps. And this vampire war and this movie makes me feel like I'm right in the middle of it. Like, it sucks me in, I guess is what I'm trying to say. No pun intended. And, I guess maybe because it plays off of those familiar tropes, but it changes us a little bit. Seriously, I think it's good writing. I get invested in this entire story. Again, not just this entry. And yeah, even the wonky 4th one with the low budget I like. I think, Kate Beckinsale is great as a lead throughout. But to me, the one who steals the show in this one is the amazing Bill Nye. Bill Nye the Vampire Guy. But you can also tell the heavy Matrix influence on this time period as well, which obviously, was the case for a lot of movies. But yeah, I think this movie absolutely still holds up. And let me just get this out of the way here. I liken this movie. And if you don't, you can liken these balls.
Oh, that's pretty
All
good.
right. I'll go next. The only Underworld movie I had seen before this one was Rise of the Lycans, and this was many, many years ago. But I really liked it back in the day. So I was hopeful for this movie. I'm a big Kate Beckinsale fan as well. One of my picks previously when we did Home Invasion Month was Vacancy with her in it. I think she's a great actress. I like her in a lot of stuff. And I like this movie as well, too, even though self-admitted not a huge vampire or werewolf kind of guy. But this movie's fun. I like the action stuff. And I caught hell earlier from some others that, I don't like Blade, but I like this. But, oh, well. I like this better. I like this movie. It's fun. And I look forward to Brian picking some more of them in the future. Go ahead, Mike. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, again, sorry for my absence last week. And if I sound a little blah today, it's not you. It's not me. I just hate my fucking job. Okay. So anyway, Underworld. All right. First of all, I'm with you, Nico. I love this month. I love the fact that we do this month. We celebrate women of horror. There's a lot of kick-ass women in horror. We've talked about it on this show before where, I think horror as a genre was kind of the first to champion women in the way that it has. And I think they deserve to be celebrated for that. I mean, you think of all the big-time final girls, but it goes beyond those people as well. And that's why I really love our picks this month because they're so different across the board. And Underworld is definitely very different from the rest of the movies we picked. I'll say this, Brian, you got me. It's hard to do. I had never seen this movie before. So
you haven't seen any of the franchise?
No. I was very unfamiliar, very uneducated. Two quick things. One, I liked the movie. Like, I actually really did enjoy the movie. And I'm a lot like Nico where I don't like vampire movies for the most part. There's exceptions. But like this one. But and werewolves too. Like, those kind of things just aren't really my cup of tea. But this movie is well written, and I think partially the reason I think it's well written is because it's kind of a tale as old as time. Like, there's a lot of Hatfields and McCoys, Romeo, Juliet, like a lot of really old stories interwoven in this modern creature setting. It's a very interesting take on those stories to me. So I do like that about it. It's a familiar story I can sink my teeth into.
Hey.
You like that shit. Okay, but no, I mean, again, I think this movie is beautifully shot. I like the cast. I like the way that it looks. It has a lot of blue hues, a lot of blue tones that I really like. So all in all, I'm a fan of this movie. Now, one more thing. Normally, when I do notes, I kind of just summarize what I see on screen in that set of scenes to the best of my abilities, either with little jotted notes or just like a paragraph on each thing, and kind of spitfire the rest. This movie, I'd never seen it, and I think I'm going to do this going forward with movies I'd never seen. I just wrote down whatever came to my mind. This is a live action commentary that you're about to receive when we do these scene breakdowns. Whatever I thought is what I wrote down. And I'd never seen the movie, so I have no idea what's coming. So when we get to those things, it's just going to be exactly what I thought at the time. I'm excited. I've never done that on this show. And I was like, hey, man, got to change it up a little bit.
All right. So first of all, I want to say, yeah, Mike, welcome back. I'm glad you're back with us this week. I am detecting a pattern, though, so I fully anticipate you to miss my next pick as well. That way it'll be 3 straight.
No, I like your next pick.
JK. But also, Brian, I want to touch on something you said. You like this whole romanticizing vampires, this, that, and the other. Yet every time I mention Twilight, you kind of give me the side eye. So I don't get what you're doing here.
Well, this movie,
it's kind of the same thing.
I mean, this movie's Twilight for adults, right?
It is
right?
Twilight.
No.
Yes, it is.
Especially
it's
since
literally Twilight, Brian.
What's his name?
How is this Twilight?
Especially since Michael Sheen,
Vampire
who
versus
plays
werewolves
Lucian,
with a love interest. What are we talking about?
Michael Sheen, who played Lucian in this one, was a werewolf, and then in Twilight he played a vampire. So don't give me this shit. It's the same stuff. Anyway,
that's completely different. I mean, have you not been paying attention? Completely different.
I've got it in my scene.
Anyway.
I got it in my scene by scenes, man. It's Twilight.
So, I told you guys back in July of 2022, I'd never seen any of this franchise, and I had no reason. Like, I remember when this movie came out, it was a big deal. I remember a lot of people, this came out, I believe, my freshman year of high school. A lot of my friends were talking about it and everything, but I just never got around to it. And then sequels dropped and more sequels dropped, and I just was still, yeah, cool, man. Like, I'm not against it, but I just never got around to it. Well, when I watched this movie for the first time to do my notes, I was conflicted, not because of what you may think. I was conflicted because I like this movie, but I also at the same time was like, how the hell does Nico not like Blade? I don't understand how you like Underworld but don't like Blade. Anyway. And yeah, now I own all 5 of these movies, and so I can't wait, honestly, after watching this, can't wait to jump into the rest of them. And it's not, I promise you, it's not just because Kate Beckinsale's a smoke show. There's other reasons. Like, this is a good movie. I really like the color. Like the color of this movie, if that makes any sense, is just beautiful. Like, it all looks gray and blue and dark, and I think that's perfect for a vampire movie. and the story is really good. Now, there are things that I don't like about the movie, or things I wish they had done different or expanded upon, or whatever. And we'll get into that in scene by scene. But as it stands, man, I was pleased upon my first watch of this movie. I do think 2 hours and 1 minute is a bit excessive. Could have trimmed that down some. But so yeah, good pick, Brian.
All right, guys, let's jump into the scene by scene. The film starts with title card narration from Celine about the war between the vampires and Lycans. Lucian, the Lycan leader, had been killed. Victory was in their grasp. Almost 6 centuries had passed, but older, more powerful Lycans can change at any moment. There's a lot of dialogue here, so I just paraphrase what was happening. Their campaign was to hunt them and kill them. Celine is a death dealer. She and Rigel jump down from a building after they lock in on a Lycan. They follow them down into the subway tunnel. Michael and Celine make eye contact, but she hides behind a column. Ray stops walking, sensing something, and yells, "Bloods!" He opens fire on Rigel, and we have a big shootout now. Rigel is shot, and Celine begins to open fire. Michael checks on a woman who was shot as Celine chases after the Lycans into the subway rails. Ray turns into his Lycan form, killing the vampire. Celine looks at bullets on the ground until she hears a scream. The subway zooms past her, and she goes deeper into the tunnels down a manhole. She kills a Lycan behind her and steals his special ammunition. She hears someone descend behind her and throws some fancy vampire ninja stars at the wolf. We now see a group of men watching 2 Lycans fighting for sport. Lucian walks in shooting his gun, saying they act like rabid dogs, and it simply will not do. Not if they want to defeat the vampires or just survive. Celine drives back to her home, and she tells Khan they have a serious problem showing him the bullets. Ultraviolet ammunition. Celine thinks they should go look for Nathaniel, but Craven shoots it down. Celine says there could be hundreds of Lycans down there. Craven tells her Soren and his team will handle it. Celine and Erica chat now. She says it's a waste of time. Victor wouldn't want you staring into his tomb for hours freezing. Celine doesn't understand why Craven was left in charge. Erica is there to get Celine dressed for the party. Celine studies some film as Erica walks in with her dress to wear. Celine realizes they were after Michael. Craven walks in asking who's attractive, and Erica leaves. He says she takes this warrior business too seriously. We hear dogs bark as they see a limo pull up. I don't know if his name is Sing or Singe, but I'm going to go with Sing. Takes a blood sample from a man they have restrained as Lucian walks in asking if they have any progress. The test comes back negative as they cross the name out. Michael is at the hospital as he tells Dr. Adam he's going home for a bit. Reyes tells Lucian they were ambushed and they didn't catch the candidate. Singh removes the stars from Reyes' body as Lucian asks if the vampires noticed they were pursuing the human. He says he's not sure. Lucian asks if he has to do everything himself when Singh says he needs to see this Michael. At the vampire party now, as Dignitary has a toast. Craven looks out the window seeing a car drive away as we see the computer has Michael's address and profile pulled up. Celine kicks in his apartment door and walks inside. The cops are interrogating Dr. Adam about Michael's whereabouts. Celine looks through some photos and his phone rings. Michael sees his door open. It's Adam, telling him the cops are looking after him as Celine grabs his throat, pinning him to the wall asking, "Why are they after you?" The ceiling above begins to break and Michael runs down the hall. She runs too and turns around shooting at the Lycans. She now shoots the floor in a circle so she can escape. The elevator opens and Lucian is there. Celine shoots Lucian several times, but Lucian tackles him, biting his neck and saving a sample of his blood. Celine and Michael escape the apartment as Lucian pushes the bullets out of his flesh. All right, Brian, that's the opening set of scenes I got. What'd you think?
I love the opening shot right off the bat, and no real pun intended because it is a little Batman-centric, but also the Crow. So, yeah, and right here, we get a lot of dialogue to start out with, but, number one, at least you're not reading it. And number two, I think it does a great job of giving you all the information you need and, catching you up without getting boring. And now in about 45 seconds or so, you know where you're at now in the history of the story. For me, part of the pull for this franchise is that it's easy to get engrossed into the story, and it starts right here. They play with the vampire lore a little bit here as well, with Erica looking into the mirror and getting a reflection. I think that was done on purpose, but subtly, not really talked about. As far as cinematography goes, I think Len Wiseman does a great job in his debut. this franchise and being married to Kate Beckinsale for years, I think is his real claim to fame, to be honest. But his style, and Dustin brought this up, his style choice to have this almost blue color overlay throughout the entire movie, almost mimicking that green overlay the Matrix had. I love it too. I think it really adds this almost dark, gritty comic book, Sin City 300 like kind of graphic novel feel, but without going that far with it. And it helps that there's no daylight, which is another reason why I like that blue tint throughout, because otherwise I wonder if it would have just simply been too dark without it. I don't know. There's some fucking beautiful shots in this entire movie, but just a few that stand out in this opening is also when Selena's in the subway and you get the flashes from the train going by and showing that blood on the walls. The really cool transition from the computer 510 on the screen to the address on Michael's door, and the bullets coming out of Lucian, kind of X-Men Wolverine style. I think those were just amazing shots. Also a fan of the first person view, a lot of the time with the Lycans. I think that was a good budgetary choice with not having to spend so much on CG. And I think that helps with how well I believe this movie holds up in that regard. Which, speaking of, I think the transformation of the wolves is still really good. It's like this blending of CG and stop motion. And look, we've all seen some shitty werewolf transformations, and I don't think that this movie is one of them. There's two really good action scenes in the subway in Michael's apartment. Even if you kind of get that age-old action movie trope of how many bullets do these motherfuckers have, which kind of gets me to my negatives here. Firstly, again, I say it, I'm not an actor. I'm a 39-year-old fanboy doing a podcast. But like I said, the performances are phenomenal in this movie, I think, except one. And I think Shane Broley as Craven is terrible. I think his performance is cheesy, over the top, and really the only one that feels like that throughout the whole thing. But maybe that's just me. Also, her shooting through the floor to escape the Lycans in the hallway is my least favorite part of the movie. It looks cool in the trailer, but seeing it in the movie, I was just like, are you kidding me? If she used all those fucking bullets, she could have easily just shot the Lycans. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that at this point in my life, I guess. But all in all, great group of scenes that sucks me in with this awesome mix of guns and monsters throughout. I fucking love it.
Okay, really quick, add small film analysis before I just sound like a big dum-dum. I also love the blue tint. It reminded me of some of those Burton Batman movies. I don't know, that's kind of the way that I saw it. I love that. I love that effect. I mean, you mentioned the green one in the Matrix, but I mean, I like those dark blue colors. I mean, I'm a sucker for Halloween 78, and the whole last act in that movie is done through almost a blue lens. So, I really love that aesthetic. Okay, here we go. So I said, I'm a little lost here. I don't know enough about these movies. She gave an exposition dump, but I wasn't really paying attention. See, that's how that works sometimes. But I got the story as the movie went on, so that's okay. And then I wrote big fight, long fight, which I wrote that because I'm not a big fan of these shooty action scenes when it comes to, I'm not like an action movie guy anyway. So when it comes to a quote unquote horror movie, I'm not a big fan of these longer drawn out fight action scenes. I'm just not. Now, I mean, I like some action movies, kind of like I like some vampire movies, but I'm not fighting to watch one of them. I'll put it that way.
For those keeping score at home, Mike doesn't like action movies, ghost movies, vampire movies, werewolf movies.
I don't prefer them.
He also doesn't like it when the kills are too mean.
Have I said that? When did I say that?
Yes.
What movie?
You said it was really mean-spirited.
What movie?
It was it was less than 15 episodes ago.
It probably was.
If Dustin remembers it, then
it probably was too mean-spirited.
The North remembers.
Damn it. Anyway,
go ahead.
For a fun fact, wolves and rabid dogs, because he says you guys can like a pack of rabid dogs, are only a chromosome or two apart away. And you can thank Coyote America by Dan Flores for me having that knowledge in my brain. I know all about the canine species. Thank you. And wolves and rabid dogs, might as well be kissing cousins, brother, with a common ancestor. Okay, here we go. Cue the no one believes the woman in horror trope, which happens right here with Celine. As soon as she sees something, nobody in the house believes her or doesn't want to believe her because she's uncovered the truth. So that was a trope I didn't really care for. I will say Kate Beckinsale is really strong in this set of scenes. And I don't know how else to put this. I know it's going to get a giggle out of somebody, but her facial acting is great in this set of scenes. Like the way she's taking it very serious makes me take it very serious because this is a premise on its own that normally I would laugh at. But she's doing such a good job of conveying this that I'm bought in for sure. Now, she's doing all her work on this old-ass 2003 laptop that made me laugh, although sometimes my internet makes me feel like I'm doing the show on that 2003 laptop. So I guess I can't really fucking say anything. By the way, Craven makes a great point because if I'm immortal, it's money, hose, and clothes right here. That's what I'm doing. I'm not spending my time warm with lichens. I'm getting after it, man. I don't give a damn. Also, this one guy has the same exact voice as Michael Clark Duncan. It's almost impeccable. It's like an impersonation. I will say the mystery of what the story is with Michael, by the way, great name, sir. The story of Michael keeps me interested. We talked about the writing at the beginning, and I do think there's really good writing in this. Also, probably one of the smartest escape plans I've ever seen is shooting a circle around you on the floor and falling down another level. I thought that was very creative. And last thing, the scene where he pushes out the bullets through his neck and face, those effects look phenomenal to me. Those are really well done. Like, I'm a big fan of that. And there's some bad effects in this movie, but nothing that's just like, ew, look at that, like where I can make fun of it. Like, most of it's really good, especially right here.
Yeah, we get some awesome death effects like right off the bat with our first kill. I love the purple illumination and the decomposition of his skin as he dies. That would look pretty cool. And then we get some pretty crazy looking effects as he transforms. I agree, Brian. Like the effects as, you know, he transforms into his superior being, if you will. Like we've seen some bad transformations in the werewolves and the vampires, whatever. And considering this movie came out in 2003, I think that's really damn good. I think they do a good job at establishing the backstory here. Like they introduce it as we go, or like introducing it as we go is tough for movies to get it right sometimes. But I think here they make it feel natural in the way they establish what's going on, as well as the whole dynamic between Celine and Craven. Like I think that's really good as well. We get some great looking effects as Lucien heals and regenerates, kind of pushing those bullets out. As you said, I thought that looked really cool, really good, especially for the time. Also, Mike, you mentioned his voice being the same as Michael Clark Duncan. I can't help but think, are you talking about Ray's Kevin Grivois? Dude, that's the writer of the movie. That blew my mind when I found that out.
I should have looked that up. You're absolutely right.
Like, no, I didn't find it out until about an hour before we recorded. I was just like going through, finding some last minute tidbits here. Like, he wrote this movie. That's incredible to me. Shout out to him. And also it was cool finding out that, you know, he wrote this movie and the whole storyline was based on his own personal experiences based on interracial dating. Like that makes this movie like hit a little bit harder for me because I've kind of been on the other side of that, like the white side of interracial dating. And I feel you. Like I've definitely experienced that myself. So, but anyway, that was just cool. That was a cool little tidbit there for Kevin Grivois. I hope I'm saying that right. I think I might be. It's just kind of French, kind of Louisiana-ish. I don't know, but overall, I think it's a very solid open that we get here. Though we get action right out the gate, and that really helps when you got a 2-hour runtime. And I see that coming in, I'm like, this is gonna drag. But boom, like we don't waste any time. I'm with you, Mike. Like in the runtime, a lot of times, like I see, like I just finished the Hobbit trilogy for the first time. I finished it today, and I was like, man, these movies are long. I didn't feel like this was going to be a 2-hour movie out the gate because of how they paced it to begin with. It does slow down a bit for a while, but then it picks back up nicely in this opening set of scenes. And like I mentioned, I love the lighting and the tone of the movie, like the blue shades, the blue tones, the grays, the blacks, all the coloration that they use. We get plenty of excitement, and the storyline is compelling. Like the storyline draws me in because it's really a tale till as old as time. Vampires, werewolves, they don't like two sides don't like it. It's like the Bloods and the
Hatfields and
Crips of
McCoys.
the,
That's what I said in my open. Like it's
of the
literally
monsters.
just the repeat of that story for sure. And there's some damn Shakespeare thrown in here too, man. I mean, shit.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as the opening is, I'm all in at this point.
And Michael asks, what the fuck is going on as they drive away, and Lucian chases after them on foot. He jumps on the car and stabs through the roof of the car several times, finally hitting Celine in the shoulder. She slams brakes, throwing him off, and reverses the car. Lucian tumbles over the car as she drives away. Michael tells her to stop the car. She's losing a lot of blood. She pulls a gun on him, saying, back off. She ignores his warning, saying she'll be fine, but she passes out and the car flips over into a body of water. Michael bashes his head onto the window, but gets the gun shooting out the glass. He gets himself and Celine to the bank where he gives her CPR, bringing her back to life. He tears off some of his jacket to make a tourniquet for her wound. Lucian brings Singh a sample of Michael's blood. 2 days there will be a full moon and he will be a lichen. He will come looking for us. Singh tests the blood and says it's positive. Celine wakes up and sees Michael passed out beside her. Michael has flashbacks of lichens and vampires fighting. He wakes up and Celine says, be still, and asks why those men were after him. He asks where he's at, and she tells him her name. Erica walks in saying the house is buzzing about her new pet. Craven wants to see Celine now. He's pissed about the events of the night. Craven says she's infatuated with Michael. Erica getting up close to Michael and sees the bite wound on his neck. She jumps to the ceiling, and he's scared now. He opens the window and jumps below and has more flashbacks. The dogs begin to chase him, and he jumps the fence as Craven and Celine walk in the room. Craven smacks Celine, and she's now at the firing range as Khan gives her a different gun to try out. She shoots it, and we see silver nitrate has been put into the bullets. It goes straight into the bloodstream. She asks Khan if Lucian really died. He says Victor believed him, and that's all that matters. Craven gets into a limo with Lucian and snaps on him until he chokes him, saying, calm yourself. The human doesn't concern you. Craven tells him to keep his men at bay for now. Lucian says, without me, you'd have nothing and be nothing. Craven exits the limo frustrated as Celine gets out an ancient book to study. We see pictures of the war between the lichens and vampires. She reads on Craven killing Lucian, but the math ain't mathin' as she realizes Lucian was the one in the elevator. Erica tells Celine her human was bitten and is a lichen. What about the covenant? You know it's forbidden. Michael grabs Adam and tells him since he's been bitten, he's having hallucinations as Adam treats his wounds. He feels like his head is splitting. Adam struggles to believe his story. Michael snaps as he yells the woman took him hostage. Michael sees Adam walking in with the cops and he runs away. Celine spells out the name Victor in mirror steam, saying, please forgive me, but I desperately need your guidance. She goes to where his tomb is and spins the center. It now opens up and Victor's casket emerges. She spins the casket and starts the awakening. She bites her wrist and drips blood into the casket and it pours into Victor's mouth. We see quick shots of the previous events of the night. Celine says she believes Lucian is alive and well, preparing to hit us, and Craven is in league with him. She closes the doors and hides as another vampire opens the door looking around. Craven sees Michael in the security cam as Michael radios to Celine. He wants to speak with her. He asks what's happening to him. She tells Craven's Victor's awake, and we'll see what he has to say. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes we got. What'd you think?
The math ain't math, and I love that. That shit was awesome. Okay, so I think the scene with Lucian chasing the car, a la Terminator 2 and using the T-1000 knife thing really establishes, how badass the lichens are. And I haven't said it, but Michael Sheen, I think, does a tremendous job of playing who you think is the villain, at first, but also has the acting chops to pull off basically the victim after the script turn later on. And before I get past this action scene, though, a nitpick I had is after Lucia stabs Celine through the ceiling. I mean, come on with the passing out thing. Michael says, you've lost a lot of blood. I mean, has she, though? Like, it literally just happened, and I don't see that much blood, just saying. And the firing and the gun underwater, like, what is that, a Beretta she's using? Can that fire underwater like that? Like, I don't know, but I question it. Getting back to the Vampire Mansion, that kind of reminds me, I'm going to do something I don't normally do, and that's give credit to the wardrobe supervisor, Augusto Grassi. Dude has he's done a billion things from Thor to Game of Thrones and on, but, and it may be a little thing, but the costumes to me in this movie are perfect. Like the separation and the death dealers and the regular vampires with that old Victorian look and just everything, I think is great. It's what you almost would expect, and that's not really a bad thing. A fun little fact at around 37 minutes, you won't be able to ever unsee this once you know this. But outside of the mansion, the dogs were actually very docile and playful because they were the only dogs available at the time. So for the scene where they chase Michael, Lynn Weissman had to film short clips of the dogs running and put the sounds in later. And if you look closely, you can see their tails like happily wagging when they're trying to chase him up the gate. And I do think the meeting in the car between Lucius and Craven could have possibly been cut. I don't think we needed that scene to know that they had an arrangement. I don't know, but that's just me, especially in, like Dustin talked about, a 2-hour movie. I thought the scene with bringing Victor back to life, though, I thought was pretty badass. Great effects showing the intricacies of the whole, vampire elder thing without getting too cheesy with the CG. But also, is this really a crisis that would call for this extreme measure of bringing Victor back? I mean, really. I mean, eventually, absolutely yes. But at this point, she doesn't know about the attack on the other elder and really how full of shit Craven is just yet. I don't know. It just kind of seems super risky at this point. But visually, it's really cool. And so, honestly, just another good set of scenes, I think, which, I will sound like a broken record if I say that every time. We didn't mention Michael's colleague, Dr. Adam, played by Prison Break star Wentworth Miller. Apparently he was actually interviewed for Craven's role, and I wish he would have gotten it.
Damn, that's harsh. Jesus. Okay, so I wrote, this man was straight car surfing, which I've always wanted to do, by the way. Does this movie have any daytime shots? No. As we find out, it does not have any daytime shot. The car underwater shot, to me, looks awesome from both angles. From outside the car looking in and from inside the car looking out. Like, I really think that's some good... Sorry for that noise if it came across. I think the cup fell. It's a ghost in here. Anyway, I think it's great cinematography and camera work. Those two shots, back to back, I think are really good. I love the way the glass breaks by gunfire. Like, I know but the car is still dry on the inside until then. So I think, that gun would probably shoot off. There's a point, obviously, when I'm watching this movie, I wonder if she crashed the car on purpose for some reason. But I obviously not. But in the moment, I was like, that was kind of strange. But man, the way they patronize Celine doesn't age well. Just throw that out there, especially since we're celebrating Women in Horror Month. Fuck these guys. Although we do find out, like Brian said, somewhat of a victim here. So fair enough. Okay. Anyway, I wasn't expecting a full heel turn from Erica. Like, she does the thing, but I wasn't quite into the movie enough yet to realize that Michael had been bitten by a lichen, or how that affected her ability. Like, she showed her fangs as soon as she realizes that. So it makes a little more sense to me now. But at the time I was like, damn, what did he ever do to you? You guys just show your fangs, but I see it now. Okay. I see the vision. Celine's one hell of a shot. Like, she's great with a gun. I'm sure she's had centuries to perfect this, but she's really good with a gun. Look, see right there. I knew I didn't trust this fucking traitor Craven, who, by the way, I don't hate the acting as much as you do, but he is clearly playing villain type A, villain type B, like whatever, your stereotypical kind of cheesy villain. I don't necessarily think it's over the top, but it's just there. Like, it's not anything sinister. There's no added tweaks or levels to the acting. I just think it's very plain and vanilla. Why would you want Craven and the Lycans to work together? Like, why would he want that? But obviously he used the Lycans to rise to power, if I read this correctly. Now I will say, as Kate Beckinsale is flipping through these books, it's a very intense study session. Like, all she's doing is flipping through some books, and there's some ominous music, and it's very dark, and they set it up like something sinister is about to happen, but nothing ever actually happens. Now, see, this is where the Romeo and Juliet comes in, or at least I thought. Actually, it comes in later. But, these kind of lovers from different sides of the world or whatever, human, vamp, whatever, there's just some Romeo and Juliet stuff all throughout this, and again, I appreciate that. I just have to say, since no one else has said it yet, that's a great leather suit. So I also would like to commend the wardrobe operator for giving Kate Beckinsale. That's it. I'll say, Kate Beckinsale, call me sometime.
Nice.
Very calm, mature way during Women's Horror Month to say, call me sometime. My wife knows I use. My wife knows I use call me sometime. It's okay. Go ahead and snitch, pal. It's fine. She's sitting in the other room right there, asleep.
It's kind of
Dropping glasses.
Hey, no, that was in my room. It was a ghost. I'm trying to tell you. This heart beating compilation looks really gross. Like as they're bringing, like someone back, like it just looks really nasty. The heart kind of looks like my ball sack. It's not a pretty sight, man. I don't like the way it looks. It grossed me out. I don't want to look at my own ball sack, so I get it. Just saying. But I love how, okay, last thing. I do love how much of a boss Celine is when she just walks away and basically just drops the bomb that, oh, yeah, I brought Victor back to life, by the way. That's some gangster shit right there, man. She said it nonchalant, in his face, didn't give two shits because she's a boss. So it's a great pick, Brian, because she really is like, I know you give credit to other people, but she's the GOAT in this movie to me.
All right, so first of all, it's kind of ridiculous to me when she passes out. I mean, there was like no fading at all. She just went from shut up, I'm fine to just night night and zero flat. That was kind of ridiculous to me in this set of scenes. Like there was no signs of head trauma or anything. She's perfectly fine, then out like a light. And then I did think it was funny when they asked Celine, you're infatuated with him, aren't you? And she says, now that's a ridiculous theory. I mean, you dated Pete Davidson, Kate, so let's not get carried away. That's not that far-fetched. So,
also, she goes through links, like almost breaks up her own coven for this guy. I mean, just throwing that out there.
Yeah. But, and then motherfucker jumping out the window like that and just landing on his back, he's done. He's done. There's no shot that he gets up and runs away after landing on his back after that fall.
He's got that lichen streak.
So that's a little. Does he at this point?
He got bit.
Yeah. Had he been bit yet? Had it sunk in?
Oh,
I don't give a shit.
That.
That's still a little bit like, come on. But anyway, then, when we get the close up of the bullets here, the silver nitrate in the bullets, I guess I'll say it 2 weeks in a row. This is some Alex Mack looking silver ooze in those bullets. Like that's what it looked like when, she shoots the statue bust there and that silver ooze is falling. I was like, okay, Alex Mack's about to show up any minute now. We're safe. But, and then when she says that she's going to revive, Victor here, this motherfucker looks rough. Like she's got to have some powerful blood if she's going to fix that shit. Jesus Christ. Decomposition is already set. Like that looks nasty. I thought the effects throughout the movie on Victor looked phenomenal. Yes. Like to go from that and then the transition into what we get. Yep. Can't say enough about the job they did on that. Fantastic. And then, lastly, the thing we get a hell of a mic drop here as she said, well, we'll see what Victor has to say. Because he doesn't know that Victor's being awakened here. I thought that was a great line there. But overall, this set of scenes is fine. Like we're progressing our storylines here. We get some exciting shit going on, and I really like this set of scenes as well.
She picks him up in the car, and Erica tells Craven she tried to warn her, and Michael is a lichen. What's this ruckus we hear? Victor say. Michael asks, "Who are you people?" She looks at his wound. Victor exits the coffin with blood hooked to his body. They bow before him, and he tells Erica to leave the room. Celine tells him he's in the middle of a war of over 1,000 years. She tells him he'd die if bitten by both. She's curious why Lucian is after him. Victor tells Craven he has to speak with Celine. She has shown me things, and this covenant has become weak. Perhaps I should have left someone else in charge of my affairs. Craven says he's been awakened a whole century ahead of schedule. Michael tells Celine he's having hallucinations, but she tells him those are memories. Lucian passed them on to you. She tosses him a bag of blood and tells him lichens are allergic to silver. Lucian and his army are getting guns. She tells him of the time lichens killed her family and how Victor saved her and fended off the lichens. He gave her the power to avenge my family. Since that night, I haven't looked back. Michael asks who started the war. She says they did, according to what we've been told. Michael tells her he wants to go with her, and they kiss. She binds him in the room. She tells him tomorrow night he will change into a lichen. I can't leave you free to roam. She gives him a gun with a round of silver to delay the transformation for a few hours, and she leaves. Celine is back at the house as Singh spies on the house. Craven grabs her, asking, how could you embarrass me? He says, from now on, you do what I say, as she hits him. She goes into the room with Victor and bows. She tells him about Craven's infatuation with her, and he asks why she believes Lucian is alive. She says she shot him. He says it is time for Marcus to reign. She begs for the chance to collect the proof he's alive. He says he trusts him over her because she's trained by an animal. You will not be shown an ounce of leniency. You have broken the chain and covenant. You must be judged. They escort Celine out and upstairs to her room. She asks Craven if he had the nerve to cut the skin from Lucian or did he do it himself, and he walks out. Craven tells the others no one opens the door as Erica listens on from a distance. Michael shoots the chain, but no success freeing himself. Craven goes to Khan saying, change of plans. Soren will pick up Amelia. Amelia and her family hear howling from a distance as a lichen jumps on the train. We see them all being savagely killed by lichens. Erica cuts the power to the house and goes into Celine's room. She tosses her a gun and she asks, why are you helping me? I'm not, as we see Celine jump from the window and she drives away. Craven asks what's going on as Erica says it's Celine, she's escaped. Craven demands that liken's head on a plate. Michael has more visions of the past, and Celine goes to him. Singh and his crew are after her as well. She says, we need to go. The lichens and Celine shoot at each other, and she tells Michael to jump below. She shoots at the lichens, and he jumps, realizing he has landed safe. The cops ambush Michael and throw him in the back of the cop car, and Celine watches them drive away. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes I got. What'd you think?
Bill Nye is just so fucking good. You know, what movie was it that we did recently and I got him confused with someone else and said that he, you know, that whoever it was played Davy Jones in Pirates? I don't remember. But anyway, this is David fucking Jones. And honestly, I've grown to appreciate the dude as an actor more and more as I've gotten older. I think he's one of the best of all time. And I don't think I'm overselling that. You know, his performances and everything they're fucking incredible. And you can tell he just gets engrossed in his characters and gives you fully 100% in all that he's in. Like, he's definitely part of what sells all of this. I mean, he lives up to what he's playing, you know, not to shit on something else, but Blade 3, when they brought Dracula back with another Prison Break star, by the way, like, this is how you do that and it be done right. Like, I'm fully invested in these performances now, minus Craven. And you mentioned his makeup for the corpse look. Shout out Patrick Tatopoulos, if that's how you say his name, the creature designer, fabricator, and supervisor. Fantastic freaking job. You know, and again, maybe a budget thing, but Celine telling the story to Michael, like when they first get to the interrogation room, I would have liked to have seen that flashback from her point of view. You know, and maybe, you know, what we get later when she finds out what really happened. But, you know, but this is a really moving speech from her anyway. You know, it's dialogue heavy. But what she says and implies about only knowing what history has been told to you and it being forbidden to even question it seems kind of relative today. To me, anyway. You know, it hit me different than it used to, you know, anyway, on this watch through. You know, it's kind of funny when she chains him up and then talks about the full moon tomorrow. Motherfucker, you're not leaving me in this chair for 24 hours, are you? What the hell, Celine? But, you know, the scene in the throne room between Beckinsale and Nye, I think, is tremendous. Their acting feels real. I love it. But what happens after cracks my ass up? They put her ass back. I mean, isn't that the same room that Michael simply opened the fucking window and jumped out of earlier? Like, did they think putting her in that room was like locking her away? I don't know. You know, unless I'm missing something, that always made me laugh. So what does she do? She jumps out the window. My only other complaint, and again, I understand it. And, you know, it's a little better on the unrated cut, but I wanted to see more of this ambush on Amelia and her crew on the train. This isn't the last we see of Amelia, by the way. You know, she's back in Underworld Evolution, the very first part of that, you know, kind of when they show a flashback, and Bill Nye is. And, you know, it's mentioned in the prequel and Blood Wars as well, but, you know, it makes me wish we had more of her, and I would like to know a little bit more about her at this point.
Yeah, so Celine didn't think to check for bite marks before. Like, I know she'd already been told, and like, I don't know. I just think you went through this crash with this guy. He quote unquote saved your life. Maybe just give it a check, just kind of see why the Lycans were after him. I feel like that may have been one of the first things I personally checked. Like maybe they're after him because he's a Lycan. I don't fucking know. Anyway,
she was too busy passing out from that T-1000 stab through the roof that losing like no blood.
I mean, isn't she immortal? What are we doing here? Anyway, Victor, got a question for you, man. How the hell did you die? You look like shit. Like, God almighty. I mean, anyone, straight up out the crypt probably looks like shit, but I don't know, man. He looks very unhealthy. Like, I don't know what he was going through at the time. It's tough. And, he kind of talks funny, at least in this scene. Like, I'm guessing that's intentional. Like, some of his words sound a little off, and he's got this old English accent, which is normal, but, like, some of the way he says those words are a little off. Maybe that's, again, intentional. You're telling me I get bit by one of these werewolves, I have to take their memory too? That sounds like a really bad trade to me. Like, I don't want your shitty fucking slave memory, man. That sounds like a bad trade. I mean, my life already sucks enough. Now I got to take on your problems too? Fuck you. That's all I'm saying. That's some selfish werewolfing, if you ask me. Werewolves and coyotes. Here's another Dan Flores fact. Werewolves and coyotes hunt in packs like this, and they're very rabid. So no wonder they killed all your family. Come to find out, didn't kill all your family because Victor's a goddamn liar. Piece of shit. Anyway, look, the way that this scene where Beckinsale's kind of looking out the window, her dialogue, which you touched on, Brian, I love the way it's shot. The lightning through the window, the way that's lit, the way everything is lit in this scene, I think is phenomenal. I think Kate Beckinsale gives a great performance. And I just think that, the lightning and the thunder in the background is a chef's kiss on top of that. And again, I don't know why I wrote this because I literally just wrote this, but I said, God damn, Victor looks gross. Anyway, so now in hindsight, I know this wasn't the reason, but you're watching this for the first time. My girl Celine just looks horny, man. I mean, she's really trying to get to this man, trying to save this man. That's the impression I took. No disrespect. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I took like all of this just kind of reminded me, Dustin, are you ready? This stuff starts to get a little Twilight to me right here. This is where we got some love interest. One's a werewolf. There's a vampire, star-crossed lovers.
Forbidden love.
Yeah, you see it, Dustin. You see the comparisons. It's right here, man. It's all over this, and that's okay. Why does this mysterious man in the subway look like Neo? Oh, probably because everybody was ripping off the Matrix at the time, but he even looks like Keanu Reeves, except he has the long hair. He's got like the John Wick hair, but the Neo sunglasses going on with the trench coat. It's like a mix of Keanu's characters, man.
I thought you meant like the R&B Neo, like it's all because of you. I was like, oh, okay.
Because I'm so sick of love songs. Okay, anyway. Yeah, man. I knew Erica was a bitch traitor. I knew it. All she wanted was to be queen and be with Craven, which I can't understand why you want to do that, because according to my brother Brian, he can't act. Anyway, this mansion has more stairs than the Biltmore estate, which I don't really fucking understand. If you've never been to the Biltmore estate, it's fucking massive. Okay, so enlighten me here. Why are the police after Michael again? Like, I never caught that. And I watched the movie intently. I took notes. I paused. Why were the police after Michael? Go ahead, Nico.
Those are vampires.
Yeah, those aren't police.
They're vampires.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck me. I'm dumb.
Those are actually, I think they're like lichens. They're hired by lichens or something.
Never caught on.
Wait,
Okay.
they're lichens. They're not vampires.
Yeah.
Fuck me. I was half right.
Well, hell, I
You're
wasn't
gang
right.
affiliated. That's all you need to know.
Gang affiliated.
I wasn't right at all, so fuck me. Go ahead, Dustin.
So, first of all, in this set of scenes, my man Victor is looking rough. Dude is missing half his back.
See?
Like, holy shit. But again, I thought the effects looked great in that. I like that we get the backstories here from Celine and Michael. I thought that was a good touch, and I thought it was well placed. It's really tough when you do a backstory in a movie because sometimes it feels forced. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, why the hell are we just now finding this out? But I thought that it was well done in here. Then back to the house, and yeah, she's right. Whatever you were about to say about Craven, yeah, it can wait. Let's get to it. But anyway, we get a very tense scene as Victor tells Celine that she'll be judged and to take her away. Like, I thought they built the tension very gracefully there. Like, it was very well done. And then Victor did start to look a lot better as he unplugged from the Matrix. It's really funny, with all the Neo and the Matrix comparisons as far as the clothing and everything. But my man straight up unhooked himself from the Matrix there, from those IVs. I thought that was funny. Now, and I do feel like some of this set of scenes could have been trimmed. Like when I was watching it for the second, I watched it and then I watched it again to take my notes. When I was watching the second time, I was like, this is where I feel like you could have cut some. I don't think it's a bad set of scenes at all. It's just not a lot to take notes on. It's pretty straightforward movie stuff, like storylines moving how you expect it to go. But some of it just could have been cut from time for timestamp purposes. Like, I don't think there's anything like I didn't need to know that, but some of the scenes like just drug on maybe 20 seconds too long. And when you do 20 seconds here, 20 seconds there, eventually that's going to turn into minutes. And you probably honestly could have cut, I don't know, about 7 minutes from the movie just in this set of scenes alone. That's probably an exaggeration, but overall, I think that this was a necessary set of scenes to get us where we're going, but just not a whole lot to go on.
Movie came out 5 years before Twilight.
Yeah, that's fine, but also,
When were the novel? Hold on, when were the books written? Hold on.
I don't know.
The Twilight books or the books that this movie got sued over copyright infringement, because this movie did have several lawsuits.
Yes, it did.
For some copyright infringement.
Yes, it did.
They settled outside of court, so we don't.
You're lucky the first Twilight book came out in 2005, asshole.
Shout out Stephanie Myers.
Why?
Don't ask why I know she wrote Twilight.
Someone wrote fan fiction, and then we got Nico's favorite books, 50 Shades of Grey. Let's do this. Oh, sorry.
I don't read. All right, let's get back to the scene by scene. Celine. All right. Celine captures saying, Khan is told it's a false alarm, and he says Amelia should have arrived by now. Khan orders they slip off the property and see what's keeping her. Reyes walks into the train, and he puts a needle in Amelia's neck. They drive Michael and say, maybe we should dose him. Michael sees the full moon and begins to transform. They pull the car over and give Michael an injection to stop the process. Craven walks into the room with Victor and he says, I sent for Celine, not for you. Your incompetence is becoming more taxing. Celine throws Singh into the room saying, here's her proof. She jams her finger into his wound to get him to talk, and Singh tells Victor about combining the bloodlines. For years, we failed until we found the rarest of bloodlines. He tells the story of Alexander Corvinus, a Hungarian warlord. He became the first true immortal. Victor says this is a ridiculous legend. They found the dormant form of the virus in Michael Corvin. His blood allows for a perfect union between our species. He tells Victor Lucian is alive, and we see Craven has fled the premises. Victor says Craven will pay with his life. If Lucian could get blood from an elder like Amelia or yourself, he could make a half-vampire, half-lichen, and be stronger than both. Khan is informed of what's happened to Amelia and the council members. They bled her dry as he tells Victor. Singh laughs, it's already begun, as Victor mollywops him. He apologizes to Celine for doubting her. He tells Celine absolution will be yours the moment you kill Michael. Victor exits the room and we see Michael bound to an upright table. He's told he's been given an enzyme to halt the transformation. Lucian introduces himself and Michael says he needs to go, but Lucian says there's no going back. Vampires will kill you on sight for being who you are. Michael sees Lucian's necklace and sees his flashbacks again. Lucian was beat and tortured as Sonia watched. The roof was open and Sonia was killed by the light as Lucian watched. Lucian injects himself with Michael's blood. More flashbacks as we see Lucian transform into a lichen and he attacks and escapes from Victor. Michael tells Lucian of what started the war. He was forced to watch Sonia die. We were slaves once to the vampires. Victor feared a blending of the species so much he killed his own daughter. This is his war, Victor's. He spent the last 600 years exterminating my species. Craven meets with Lucian, and he says these are matters to be had in private. Lucian tells him the council has been destroyed, and soon you will have it all. Both great covens and an ironclad peace treaty with the Lycans. Lucian says that's why I need Michael to dispatch of Victor. If he was so easy to kill, you'd have done it years ago. We hear a commotion, and the Lycans have a grenade dropped on them. Lucian loads a gun up to go fight until Craven shoots him in the back with the silver nitrate bullets. He falls to his knees as the vampires make it out of the room they were locked in. Celine and Khan's team open fire on the Lycans. Reyes finds Lucian on the ground, not moving. He ambushes a vampire who begins to whip him as he turns into a Lycan. Reyes gets a hold of him, killing him. Celine splits from Khan, and we see Lucian come back to life. She's chased by a Lycan who she shoots to death. She jumps over another, killing it. Khan opens fire into a dark, empty chasm when he hears a noise. However, Khan and his team are ambushed from behind. And the next set of scenes are the ending. What'd you think, Brian?
Okay, so at the start of this, and I won't take credit for this, one of you in the past, during one of our reviews, I think it maybe was Dustin, made a comment about music playing in a scene that shouldn't be there unless there's an in-movie reason for it, like they turn on a radio or jukebox or something. You remember doing that? Was that you, Dustin?
Brother, I can't remember.
I don't know. Sorry.
Yesterday,
Respectfully, I don't even know why I asked you. Sorry. Respectfully. But
my initials are CTE. I can't remember.
But ever since then, I've paid attention to it in movies, and here the cops turn on the radio to give us that cool 90s rock music while Michael's turning in the back seat. And I loved it. I thought it was very cool, very fitting, I think. I don't know how they would have gotten him back, but I wish the cops hadn't stopped the transformation and he would have beat some ass in there. Great effects, too, with his ribs breaking and everything in the backseat. I thought that was very cool. And, dude, that punch from Victor to shit, I don't know who it is. That Lycan Doctor sellout. Is that Singh? Is that the Singh guy? That right hook that fucks him up looked amazing. And as he hit the ground and all that blood poured out of him, man, chef's kiss. And something really cool, too, in this set of scenes. And I don't know what version y'all watched, but the scene where Lucian and Michael are talking and Michael starts like seeing flashbacks of, telling Lucian's story. There were some small flashbacks filmed for the 2003 version and shown, but in the 2017 4K remastered version, those flashbacks are replaced with the actual scenes from Underworld Rise of the Lycans, since that's a prequel, and, kind of tells that story. And that's a really cool ass thing, I thought. Obviously, there's much more detail in the 2017 4K remastered version, since it's from the actual movie. I thought that was badass. And the rest of this movie is just fucking badass, balls to the wall action. Well choreographed stunt work, and fighting in this just beautifully designed sewer like lair, the Ninja Turtles lair, with some fucking vampires versus werewolves and shit getting blown up. Really not sure what else you could ever ask for.
So I think we get a great look at the Lycan on the train. I think, I've said it throughout this episode, but it's pretty good effects on this movie, especially considering that it was made in 2003. And we get more of those great effects when Michael's in the back of the cop car here. Like he's lifting up his shirt and his skeletal structure is reshaping like that. I think that and then we get it zooms into his innards. We get to see his the inside of his body. Like that's just some great effects, I think. And then, I put, what a damn right hook from Victor. Rip half of Sin's face off. Like, holy shit, what a punch. Incredible stuff there. We do get a hell of a plot twist here. Like, we've been following the vampires this whole time. Like, that's the side that we're on. So we just think vampires good, Lycan's bad. But then it turns out Victor's the one who was a dick, and he's the one that started all this. That's a great twist to me.
Yes.
Because I think that happens a lot throughout life. Like, a lot of times in life, you come up with people and you're with them no matter what, and you only hear their side of the story, so you think, okay, we're good, they're bad. And so that's just a great twist. I can't give him enough props for that twist. But I will say this, really didn't sit right with my spirit seeing a white man wielding a whip at a black man like that, especially considering we're recording this episode day 1 of Black History Month. Fuck was that about, my guy? Like, you couldn't have picked any other weapon. You couldn't have, had it been two black guys, two white guys. Like,
now that we know who the movie was wrote by, I feel like there was some symbolism there.
That is true. And I get it.
I didn't say it was comfortable. I just said
a little bit of a shiver. But and then the last thing I put was, man, did early 2000s movies love their slow motion overhead shot of someone jumping and flipping?
Yes, they did.
Because when she did that, she does this backflip and the camera's overhead as she does it. It's very Charlie's Angels. It's very Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's every movie that came out between the year 2000 and 2007. Like every action movie had that shot, but still they killed it. It was cool to see. But another good set of scenes. Honestly, one of my favorite set of scenes, just because of the twist that we got, was so substantial.
Absolutely. Look, if there was ever a time to go full werewolf, it's when you're in the back of a cop car being arrested. So if that ever happens to me again, I'm just going to pretend to like rip my shirt off and have convulsions and shit and see how that works for me. Maybe that'll get me out of it too.
Almost every heroin addict does that like every night.
Yeah, but I'm me and they're them. That's how that works.
Oh, okay.
I mean, damn, ain't I great? All right, anyway. So the song that's dubbed over this scene though is golly, that's 2000s. It's like new metal mixed with post grunge, so it's still got that like Limp Bizkit Korn sound, but it's just like Creed enough. Which speaking of Creed, I'm gonna get to Creed in a second. But I mean, it's an elite sound, elite song. Like I like that style of music. I'm still, while I'm watching this movie in real time, I'm very confused as to why they were trying to combine the bloodlines. Makes sense now, obviously, but obviously I have it written down here, so I have to say it. This man's last name is oddly close to coronavirus. It's Corvinus or whatever, but it's so close to coronavirus with the subtitles on. I was like, wait, what the fuck is this? How did they predict this? This is insane. They did not, though, obviously. I'm not sure I'd want to be half vampire or half werewolf. That doesn't sound that fun to me. Like, I can maybe understand being one or the other, but like being half of both just kind of makes you look like some, in the words of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, some sick freak. Anyway, there you go, Dustin. I know I get a giggle out of you. So this is the twist, though. Well, back up. I'm with you, Dustin. My man Victor had a better hook than Mike Tyson, son. Like that was some nasty shit.
Damn right.
That was a good hook. I love this twist, though. The fact that we find out that maybe the Lycans aren't the bad people that they seem to be, or at least not all the way, not the way the story was told to us in the beginning of the film. I like that little twist on it, and I like what we find out about Victor. Like, I think knowing all that makes what's happened prior to it so much more important, so much more interesting. I love the depth that we get there with the storytelling. I mean, are the Lycans really that bad for wanting to end the war so they could stop killing off their kind? I mean, who doesn't want to end war? Peace and love, man. Now, when everything else is blue, these flashback scenes are like that green Saw, like that green and gold Saw hue tint that we get. I really like how they're separate from the rest of the way the movie or the way the rest of the movie looks. Scott Speedman in this movie looks like Scott Stapp. If you go back, this man looks like he's about to sing with arms wide open with the way his hair is in this film. Like, he doesn't look like this in any of the other movies I've watched him in. But in this particular movie, playing Michael, he looks like Scott Stapp and look like he's about to break out in Will You Take Me Higher? So anyway, but this part really is a Romeo and Juliet plotline. So, like I said at the beginning, I find the movie really interesting because of just all the old-fashioned storytelling that I think we get here. And I love that reveal. I really do. Michael is jacked. I have that wrote down here because anytime a guy is jacked on these movies, I got to tip my cap for the dedication that takes. Hopefully the steroids, because there's nothing wrong with cheating. Hey, I'm a fitness guy, man. What do you want me to do? Last thing, I could go without this long, like these longer extended shootouts. Like, I kind of feel like they dragged the movie down just a little bit, but nitpicking, because me and action scenes are just I just get kind of bored when they feel monotonous, very filled with tropes. So all in all, I agree with Dustin. Maybe the best set of scenes just because of the depth of the storytelling that we get.
All right, guys, here's the ending. Craven climbs up a ladder to escape but sees Victor. His foot slips as he descends and falls below. Celine kills a Lycan outside where Michael is bound. She sets him free and says, "We have to get him out of here. Victor won't be satisfied until every Lycan is dead." He tells her he knows what started the war. Victor grabs a Lycan by the throat, manhandling it, killing it with a sword stab. More combat as Celine sneaks Michael past it all. Michael opens a door where Craven hides and he shoots him with the silver nitrate bullets. Craven tells Celine she comes with him. Craven tells her that Victor is the one who killed her family, not Lycans. He craved human blood occasionally. He couldn't bear the thought of draining you dry. You reminded him of Sonia too much. Your place is by my side. He goes to shoot Celine until Lucian crawls up, grabbing his leg and stabbing him. He smacks Lucian away. Lucian tells her to bite him. Half vampire, half Lycan, but stronger than both. She bites his neck and Lucian tells him, "You may have killed me, cousin, but my will is done regardless." Craven shoots Lucian and flees. Victor tosses Celine and he throws Michael through the rock wall into a pool of water. Victor asks, "Where's Craven?" Michael begins to transform as Victor apologizes to Celine. She says it wasn't the Lycans, it was you. Victor tells his men to leave. Victor admits what he did, but he says he gave her so much more, the gift of immortality. Victor turns away as she brings up Sonia. He pulls the necklace from Lucian. "I love my daughter, but the abomination growing in her womb was a betrayal of me and the covenant." Michael pushes Victor below and the two begin to fight. Michael gets some good slashes on him as Victor tosses him into a column. Some more hand-to-hand combat until Victor uppercuts the shit out of Michael. Victor's men appear shooting at Michael until Celine sneak attacks him from behind. Victor punches her into a whole nother room until Michael charges at him. Victor puts him in a chokehold, about to kill him, until Celine grabs a sword and charges him, slashing at his head. He looks at her and pulls his blades out until his head splits in half. She goes to Michael and they see Lycans back away from them. She drops the sword into the water. She picks up the necklace from Lucian and turns around, seeing Michael back in human form. She walks out and he follows her. Back in the temple, we see Singh's body as Celine narrates. She says she can't predict the future, but the consequences will last for many years. 2 vampire elders slain, one by my own hand. Soon Marcus will take the throne and a tide of anger will spill out into the night. Allegiances will be made and soon I will become the hunted, as we see Marcus's open his eyes. All right, Brian, that's the ending. What'd you think?
Yeah, I kind of said it in the last group of scenes about the ending of this just kicking straight up ass to me. I will say my least favorite kill is here with this wannabe bald Indiana Jones vampire you guys were talking about earlier. I don't even know who the fuck he is, but it set it up like it was going to be a huge fight with Raz, and then it just has one of his whips get like stuck on fucking rock and doesn't even show him get killed. Like, get the fuck out of here. But come on, Victor's cut in half head. Like, are you kidding me? God damn, that was awesome looking. And I like how the movie ends on a cliffhanger too. And it actually, before it had even opened in the United States, Screen Gems actually greenlit not only the sequel to this movie, but a third to serve as the prequel after seeing the amount of tickets sold in just Canada. And I'm sure Mike will get to the box office part later. That's a reminder, Mike, just in case you forgot. And another little tidbit here, too. When Celine
I do keep forgetting, but not tonight.
Another little tidbit, too, like to end it off, like when Celine unchains Michael from Lucian's lab, there was actually a kiss between the two, and they cut it for the theatrical version. But if you have or watch the unrated version, it's there.
I synced it.
So
I also synced it.
You synced it? And also Scott Speedman suffered a concussion when a set prop that was, supposed to be a piece of the wall Victor had just thrown him through hit him in the head before he changed. So just a few little tidbits there. I think Bill Nye was fucking incredible. It's such a badass, especially in this set of scenes where he really gets to shine. And, he's definitely, obviously, a big part of why I love this movie so much.
Okay. I like this set of scenes, one, because we get more screen time with Kate Beckinsale, because we kind of get away from her for a minute, and then bam, she's back in and kind of takes over the screen. These werewolves look more like fucking Clydesdale horses to me than they do werewolves. I mean, they are freaking massive beings. I love their look. I know we talked about that earlier, but I really do love the look. I will say the only part of this movie, and I'm a stickler for it, I looked for that shit. The only part of the movie that I thought had bad effects was right here when Victor is choking the werewolf. That looked like Nightmare on Elm Street 1984. and I mean the very end, not the good stuff. So that's like a one little small nitpick. The rest of the movie is so well done, it's very forgivable for sure. I really liked the fact that we weren't really sure who the villain was all this time. Victor's a villain, yes, but not really but kind of like I really like the layered storytelling. I haven't seen any of the sequels. Maybe some of that's, stretched out and explained more. I don't know. I will watch them as we review them, but I do like that it's not left completely open-ended, but there's definitely some story to explore. And I like that we leave on this cliffhanger. It's funny, this transformation that Michael goes through where he's half vamp, half wolf, he's kind of going through this like man, bear, pig transformation where he's a whole lot of one. He's a quarter human, a quarter bear, or whatever the fuck. He's all kinds of shit.
But he's super serial. He's super serial.
Super serial. He just kind of looks like man, bear, pig, man. But I like this final fight scene between him and Victor. I think it's really well done. It's not too long. It doesn't drag out, but there's some really good action shots. So I got to give props to it when I see it. I will say all these vampires come in and shoot the shit out of this half-breed freak here. They treat him like he's Jason Voorhees and Jason Goes to Hell, and they just shoot his ass up. Still doesn't kill him, though. And I love that Celine is the one to kind of end this thing with Victor. Great kill, head chopped in half or at an angle, which I thought made it even better. The last thing I wrote before I got to the budget and all the other stuff we have to talk about is Marcus. Who the fuck is Marcus? That's what I wrote. So there you go.
So this last set of scenes, I mean, they do a great job of establishing that Victor's a bad man. Like we knew it earlier, like when he's brought back and Craven just kind of like cowered down to him, even though this guy's been dead for however long and looks like he's, his skin's rotten and falling off. But they do a great job of establishing that here. I mean, the way he just killed that Lycan with no effort, just absolutely no effort exerted, and just killed him. That was awesome. Pretty heavy shit here that Craven lays on Celine. I mean, it's clear that Victor's a real dick. Like we know that he's the one that's kind of who we need to be pointing our fingers at, but this erases any doubt. Like this final set of scenes really establishes that, yeah, he's who we should all hate. We should all band together and just boo this man. But as far as the final set of scenes, I mean, it's a great final conflict. We get Victor versus Michael and Celine. Now, I can't lie. I kind of wish it was Michael that would have taken him out by himself. Like, I get it that Celine she's the poster child. She's the leading lady. She's the star of this movie. But for the build that we got, with him, he's half vampire, half Lycan, stronger than both. That's what we heard at least twice throughout this movie. That's how they were building him to be. I kind of wish that it was him and him alone that maybe saved Celine, and he's the one that killed Victor. But that's okay. I forgive it. It wasn't done in a way that made him look weak. I think it was done in a way that to me made it feel like he was still finding his footing. He was still discovering his own strengths. And so I can definitely forgive that. Also, I put that I love when Victor's head was sliced into the diagonal slicing, I love the delayed reaction because we saw the sword slice through, but he's still moving forward. It's like, oh shit, did she miss? Like, wait, did I just miss something? What happened? And then boom, his head just slides off the bottom half there. That was awesome. Fantastic. And I thought the effects looked really good. Again, I'm going to give props to the effects department again for a movie that was made in 2003. We've reviewed movies that were done much more recently than 2003 that the effects look like absolute dog shit in comparison to what we saw there. So overall, though, I feel like this was a pretty straightforward movie. I don't think there's a lot of layers. We get some good backstories and we do get a good twist with Victor being the villain. But I think it's a very straightforward movie. So the conclusion played perfectly to that. I thought the conclusion was fitting based on what we got.
Dustin, before we go into social media, I want to piggyback off something you said about Michael killing Victor. I kind of felt like the writing was a little confusing there too, because I get they want Celine to kill Victor because, he killed her family, but the whole movie they're preaching about how strong this half vampire, half Lycan was. I wanted to see him kill Victor as well too. Like I felt like he should have dominated him.
Yeah.
Like since they kind of built it up like that.
Like that's what Lucien said, to her. He was like half vampire, half Lycan, stronger than both. Like this motherfucker should be a badass.
Movie.
Like, what are we doing?
Twilight.
This should be 03 Barry Bonds. Like, you should be running through them. What are you doing?
Well, hey, I know we're talking about this movie, but he does kick some serious ass in the next one.
I'm just saying he should be running.
Spoilers.
I'm just saying he should be running through people like X-Lax, man. Come on,
How you gonna get spoilers on a movie that's almost 20 years old, Brian? What the hell's wrong with you?
son of a bitch.
All right, guys, we'll jump
Just
into
for that,
social
I'm not.
media.
Hey, just for that, I'm not giving the budget. Fuck you. Oh wait, that wasn't going to anyway.
It's time to go look it up.
Just kidding.
They
Right here, asshole.
Have
Right
pulled up
there,
right,
asshole.
All right, let's jump into social media real quick. We'll go to Instagram first. We got a comment from big fan of the show, Mark Heff. Absolutely love this movie and franchise. Kate, holy sweet Lord, and that leather didn't hurt it either. Say it, lad. Say it loud. She can call me anytime. Great
Nice.
idea for a movie to put the vampires versus werewolves. Bill was amazing as Victor. Great movie, very dark and gothic, with the clover and thumbs up emoji. Hell yeah, brother. I'll jump over to Twitter now. Randy Smith commented, saw this back in high school. It's different. It's a different take on vampires and werewolves. While it's not my favorite in genre, it's very solid. Okay. Big friend of the show, Brooke Lewis Bellis, another awesome woman in horror. She commented, we love you for celebrating Women in Horror Month. Yeah, we can do this every year, honestly. I love this stuff. Mookie commented, have never seen any of the Underworlds. I remember back in 2002, 2003, there was 2 camps. You were either an Underworld fan or Resident Evil fan. I went with Resident Evil. Which camp would you fall in? Neither, brother.
Brian's definitely a Resident Evil camp. That's his favorite adaptation of a video game ever.
Such dog shit.
All right. Andrew Ferguson commented, have Scott Speedman and Scott Stapp ever been in the same room together? And he's dropped the Can You Take Me Higher gif as well.
What I say? Motherfucker out here with a
Hey, shout out to Creed, man. That was one of them bands that got hated on for no reason.
I mean, I just heard the news today. Seems my life is going to change.
The last one we got is from Sean. Absolutely love this movie. Think it's a really great take on the lore of vampires and werewolves. If you had to be one in this universe, which would it be? And Dustin replied, you can be both.
Yeah, I replied to him. I was like, you could be both. And I put a picture of Michael, but he said that technically counts. Like, that's an option.
I would be a Lycan.
So,
I
yeah,
would be a
fuck it. I
Lycan
would be
person. I
both.
think Lycans are cooler.
Yeah, I'd be a Lycan before I would a vampire.
Vamp me.
Team Jacobs
Vamp
over
me,
here.
baby.
What about you?
What are you talking
Team
about?
Edward.
Edward,
Okay.
What are
yeah.
you talking about? I don't even know what that is.
I don't understand the reference.
I'm picking Twilight one of these days, you sons of bitches.
Oh, man. Damn, I'm not.
I'm Team Mike. I'm Michael. I'm going to be both.
All right, guys, let's jump into our fun facts. I don't have any. Brian, you want to kick us off with fun facts, or Dustin?
Sure, I got 3 of them.
Go for
Rona
it.
Mitra, who was considered for Celine, would actually later play Sonya in Underworld Rise of the Lycans. And there was a scene in the script where Celine takes a shower and walks out naked, but Kate Beckinsale didn't want to film it since she stopped doing nude scenes very early in her career. Apparently, she also had nude scenes for Underworld Evolution and Underworld Awakening that were cut out of films or removed from the scripts. Did we mention her husband was the director of these? I don't know how that played into it. Come on. According to writer-director Kevin Greveau, the model for Celine was the psychic vampire of the Hellfire Club in the X-Men comics, the Black Queen Celine.
And that leads me to ask how Nico and Mike seem to have favorable opinions of this movie, but shit on Blade just because it's based on Marvel. Make it make sense.
I'll tell you what the difference is for me. One has Kate Beckinsale and one has Wesley Snipes. I don't give a fuck about Wesley Snipes.
Blade don't pay no taxes.
Huh? I'm just saying that Blade had Kate Beckinsale. I may think of it more favorably. That's all. Or if it weren't a Marvel movie. Anyway, let's go.
Oh my God!
Is that all you had, Brian?
Yeah, that's it.
I know. I just wanted to bug Brian.
So yeah, this movie was initially pitched as Romeo and Juliet for vampires and werewolves, and that's very fitting. The creators of the series actually approached Marvel Studios after the fact about doing a crossover with the Blade franchise, with Wesley Snipes presumably reprising his role, but Marvel declined, saying they wanted to leave the door open to do something with Blade on their own. missed opportunity in my opinion. Man, I would love to see that because they fit so well together. You mentioned Rona Mitra, but also Halle Berry and Mila Jovovich were also considered for the lead role. Halle Berry, I think, would have done well just because she's a great actress, but Mila Jovovich would have smoked it because this is around the same era that she was in the Resident Evil. She was in Ultraviolet. Like, she was the badass of the early 2000s. I thought she would have crushed it. On an episode of Mythbusters, so there's a scene in this movie where Celine she shoots her way out. Like, she shoots in a circle in the floor, and it makes the floor, fall apart, and she falls through it.
Scene.
Mythbusters debunked this, and they proved that Celine could not, in fact, shoot a circular hole in the ground to escape the lichens. And the last thing that I have is that Kate Beckinsale was also in the movie Click with Adam Sandler, who was also in The Longest Yard with Courtney Cox, who was also previously married to David Arquette. Go ahead.
Nice. Do it every time, buddy. Do it every time. Little square root of David Arquette. All right. Hold on, Brian. Let me go look this up here.
This fucking guy.
Brian is an asshole. Okay. Actually, the budget is $22 million.
Doll hairs.
And it made $95 million. So, no wonder it got a lot of sequels. Apparently, a really low budget one that I've never heard of as well. So, there you go.
Jesus.
Well, I'm just saying, that's what everyone says.
All right, guys, let's jump into our rating, favorite kill and least favorite kill. I'll go first. Favorite kill, it was kind of hard, honestly, just because the kills were kind of a con in this movie for me. But I went ahead and just picked Victor. The head split in half was cool. Worst kill, pick any where the lichen is about to fuck someone up and all you see is their jaw. Lazy as hell. Show me some kills, man. All right, headphone with this movie. Kate Beckinsale was a great lead, the epitome of a strong woman in horror. She, Lucian, Victor, Singh, and the lichen transformations, I felt like carried the movie. Fun fight scenes, albeit they drag on a bit. Movie looks great, has an interesting story, and the effects hold up well. I wrote the movie is about 10, 15 minutes too long and could be tightened up some. I'm also disappointed in the kills. Way too many guns. I want to see vampires and lichens fucking each other up. I don't think this movie is necessarily too deep or anything to overanalyze. Just to enjoy it for what it is. I gave it a 7.5.
All right. My favorite kill is also Victor. I mean, it was a sliced fucking head, man. You can't beat that. And it was at an angle, which is very unique. So I really, really did like that kill. My least favorite was Lucian. Gunshots. I mean, just your standard average gunshots. Okay. Whatever. Look, this is not normally my cup of tea, but I am glad that Brian picked it. Because this movie has a really good story, and I like that it's a very layered story. It takes a lot of different old tales and kind of are good, just traditional storytelling, and makes it something new and something fresh at the time, at least. And so I really like the battle between the two warring factions. That's again a tale as old as time, as we said a ton on this show. So it has great visuals, a really solid cast. And it has a very 2000 score and soundtrack, so I like that. And of course, it has Kate Beckinsale. So the probably the highest rating I'm going to give a vampire movie going forward, at least, unless one of these sequels is better, which some people seem to think there are better ones after this. I don't know. I was just looking on Reddit earlier. I gave this movie a 7.25. I can't remember if I gave Blade higher than that, but I kind of hope not.
All right, so for me, my favorite kill was Victor because I just love the delay of his head slicing in two, and he was a real dick as a character. Like, he's the reason for all this conflict, so he deserved to die. So anytime a cool death also, it happens to someone that deserved it, yeah, that's the winner. My least favorite kill, like, to me, there was plenty of off-screen kills to choose from, so I guess, I don't know, any of the vampires from the train, when they were all ambushed and died on the train, I don't know. Like, take your pick. I get what you're saying. I agree with you. The kills were kind of underwhelming for the most part for this movie and hard to pick between. But as far as the movie goes, I think the movie looks absolutely gorgeous. I love the coloring. I love the cinematography of the movie. The score is great. I do think it runs a bit long in the tooth, but it's a very straightforward movie. a lot of times when you get a long movie, it's because they're trying to layer things and make you think and just try to outsmart themselves. They don't do that in this movie. It's a very straightforward storyline that you can relate and you can get behind. And the action's great. The pacing's great for the most part. There are some things that I would wish they did differently. But overall, I mean, is this a movie I'm going to put on just any old time for a easy, fun watch? No, but I would definitely watch it again. So I liked it. I'll give it a 7.
Okay. Yeah, and Mike, you and Nico actually somehow gave Blade a 5.5. Somehow. Craziness.
Yeah, blasphemy.
I'm not allowed to. Hold on now. I'm not allowed to just have an unfavorable opinion on a movie. Come on.
No. Okay, so my favorite kill. I mean, and you were right. I'm glad you guys mentioned this. In a movie with a body count of 67, there isn't a ton of choices for best kill. You're right. And everybody picked Victor, so I'm actually going to go with the Lycan sellout doctor guy being knocked the fuck out by Victor. And my least favorite kill, Indiana Groans, the dual whip vampire. Terrible. So I think this movie and the franchise is easily overlooked and forgotten about. Honestly, I can't believe it took me this long to pick this movie, and now, it's kind of reignited my passion. So I'm going to do another watch through and urge you that if you haven't seen this in a long time, give it another chance. It's really an intriguing story, franchise with some great acting in it, in my opinion, except Craven. Have I mentioned that? I love this movie. I gave it an 8.75.
Okay. Well, that gives us a composite score of a 7.625. IMDb has it as a flat 7, so we're close enough.
Hell yeah. Man, it is just disappointing to me that you got vampires and fucking werewolves and we're struggling to pick kills. Like, man, it should have been some awesome kills in this one. It really probably is my biggest.
Watch Twilight, man. Twilight does it.
What the fuck, man?
All right. Let's shout out our blood donors. Good pick, Brian. I enjoyed this movie. I'm looking forward to watching some other ones, too. Thought it was good. Camper Level Reoccurring, Clayton J, Nina, Michelle Mirza, Andrew Ferguson, Carrie Adams, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Alex Seligson, Eric Doolittle, Sean Irwin, and Brian Samick. Our camp counselor reoccurring are Hunter Nelson, Dennis Kennedy, Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Jennifer Davis from the Too Close to Home podcast, Heather Smith, Kylie Denise, all the way from Australia, Adrian Aiello, Jake Hambrick, Clay Moore, Karen, Matt Strickland, and a new camp counselor reoccurring is Gail Kuntz. Big shout out to her. And we also have a legendary blood donor with a film review, and that is also Mr. Matt Strickland. Just want to thank y'all. We really appreciate y'all so much for your financial contributions. It helps us out a lot. Next week is my pick. It's our birthday pick. We're not doing a film review. It's going to do kind of like a bonus style episode. I feel like this is the perfect time to do it. We're going to be ranking our top 10 favorite women in horror. This doesn't mean Final Girl. This doesn't mean, it doesn't, let me say that again. It doesn't exclude it to just Final Girls. It can be a Final Girl, a villain, just a side character. Whoever your top 10 favorite women in horror, we're going to rank them and we're going to pick. It's going to be a fun episode. It's going to be a little bit of a change up from doing film reviews. Absolutely. I'm excited for it. So yeah, y'all tune in, and heck, when we do our promo post, write your top 10, top 5 on it, and we'll read yours as well. Just want to thank all fans and listeners. Really appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one. Just want to remind everybody,